Have you got a big Tory? Have you got a big Tory?
No. Big what?
Tory.
Boy, I fi tell me a Bills bag with a Magnum.
Man, that Tyson Fury fight was pretty fucking sensational, man. You over here predicting White was gonna win. Now you don't got nothing to say.
You see?
Yeah, I wouldn't have nothing to say either if I picked Dillian Whyte to win the fight and he got knocked out like that. I feel you.
People get lucky sometimes.
That was the opposite of luck.
I'm Joey KO. This is Mixed Martial Mike. I don't know what the fuck happened. Dillian Whyte, I think he was like on coke and hookers or something, because he definitely didn't look like he has in the past.
He's not Mike Tyson. Stop it. My man Dillian Whyte actually already was a training partner of Tyson Fury in the past. So he actually got to see front row who Tyson Fury was as a fighter, as a man, as a training partner, whatever the case may be. And he wasn't enough. So we must give Tyson Fury full credit, but also later in the video want to give Deontay Wilder some credit, because look at what he was able to do to Tyson Fury, and White wasn't even able to, do anything. I don't think Tyson Fury left the fight with a mark. Maybe in the back of his head, but the fight was pretty remarkable. But I think what we wanted to focus on mostly was the fact that Tyson Fury's really, really committed to this retirement.
He's lying!
Or is he? Comment below.
What's next? That's what's on my mind. And I could see certain possibilities. If he retires right now, he's a Hall of Famer. But there's always going to be question marks. And he's not going to be at the level of a Ali. He's not going to be at the very top level, which he has the skills. It seems he can end up being one of the all-time greats. But if he retires today, he's excluded from that list, that short list at the very top. But I still give him Hall of Fame status with what he accomplished. But what he should do is step in there with Ngannou and then possibly go after, if you're looking to retire, probably do a 3-fight stretch, go after Usyk and AJ, or somebody at the top level, and then retire.
Well, they're going to fight each other. Joshua and Usyk are going to fight the rematch. Mm-hmm. Whoever wins that's a clear fight for Tyson Fury to take. Like he just mentioned, Francis Ngannou stepped into the ring, and they actually promoted that fight. Tyson Fury actually said he can't wait for the fight to happen. Francis Ngannou said, we're going to find out who's the baddest motherfucker in the world. And Tyson Fury said that his retirement is strictly boxing specific, that this wouldn't be considered anything compared to his career because it's an exhibition fight. Even though that already gives me an inkling that his retirement is full of shit. It's fugazi.
He's gonna retire, but he's still fighting. It sounds like some Mayweather shit.
After you do the best thing ever, you may not be able to repeat yourself. Shadar, play your switch.
I need to pee.
Oh, my bad.
How dare you?
So it seems to me that Tyson Fury is at the very top, but there's still a couple of names out there that he should go after if he wants to be retired as one of the greatest of all time. I think he is at the finish line of his career, but it shouldn't be right now. I think you're ending it a little too soon. In 3 to maybe even 4 fights, you can cement yourself as one of the greatest to ever do it. Why hang it up now and sell yourself short and be like a mystery, kind of like an Andre Ward? I feel like Andre Ward did the same thing. He beat a lot of names and he's a Hall of Famer, but you could have been where Mayweather is when he, when it's all said and done.
But it shows you when you compare all these types of athletes, combat athletes, when they're retiring, especially when they're legendary, it's pretty delicate when you retire. Yeah. Look at, if you want to compare it to MMA, right? Khabib retired very early. I know he promised his mother that he wouldn't fight anymore. He promised his father after his 30th win he wouldn't fight anymore. I get it. But he retired extremely early. Someone else is going to surpass his numbers, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be tough for Khabib in the historical sense to compete. with a bunch of the other legends at 155. Eventually. Right now, he's one of the GOATs. But later, he's going to get surpassed because he retired too early. Tyson Fury, in the same vein, could be surpassed very shortly. If Usyk could beat AJ again, and then he gets on a run, he's going to be very comparable to Tyson Fury, right? Unless he goes on and becomes the undisputed champion, as Lennox Lewis gave us all the information. He's the last undisputed heavyweight champion, Lennox Lewis. So, if Tyson Fury continues, and I think you made a great point, he can actually compete with the greatest of all time if he continues to fight right now. Sometimes people retire too late, like a BJ Penn, right? If you want to compare that to boxing, who retired real late in boxing that should have retired maybe a little sooner? Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley kept fighting. Yeah, there's a few fighters that kept going when they should have retired. So there's so many ways you can retire. And there's some people that retired perfectly, like GSP. And even a guy who retired perfectly wants to come back. And that's when he came back and fought Michael Bisping. I know I'm doing a lot of MMA, but it's just very comparable. It's the fight game. So these fighters aim to retire beautifully, with a beautiful fight, with a beautiful finish. And this may have been that performance to really solidify his career for him. He fought in the UK. He fought in front of 95,000 people. He knocked out Whyte, a fellow Britishman. He won the UK WBC title. Think about all the things he's accomplished as a countryman over there as a British fighter, and what he's accomplished for British fighting since Lennox Lewis. So at the end of the day, we want him to continue. I think I could add that for you.
Yeah.
We want him to continue.
Definitely.
I think that's pretty clear. We want him to continue.
I kind of like respect a fighter's choice to retire. So we can't, if he does decide to retire, we can't be mad at him.
Speak for yourself, moron.
Because, boxing takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's a lot of commitment, and you putting your life on the line. You got families that love you. I'm sure the loved ones in his life, his family, his wife probably want him to retire. You got enough money, you don't need to get back in there.
Right.
So you got to respect it because it's a tough sport. But as a fan, I definitely think he should step in there and chase that greatness.
It's about striving to be better than everybody else.
That the greatness is right around the corner.
He will climb historical ladders if he continues to fight. So that's really, really it. So he's in a beautiful position, right? Because if he retires now, he's one of the best of his era. He's probably the best of his era, right?
Job's not finished.
Because everybody after this is not the era. Usyk, but everybody else will be brand new.
You're going to be the best of this era after you beat AJ and Usyk. Those are the other two guys.
He can solidify. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially if he beats Usyk. Because AJ, he lost. But if AJ can avenge and beat Usyk, that'd be a wonderful circumstance to happen. So, hey, I'm going for that too. Oh, well, I wanted to spend some time in the video is giving credit to Deontay Wilder, like I said earlier in the video. Because Deontay Wilder brought this guy to the brink, almost beat him in each fight, right? He beat him in each fight. There were instances where he almost won the fight. Very close. And if Tyson Fury wasn't the Gypsy King, he wouldn't have come back from the grave.
Not the second one. The second one, he got a old school beatdown.
That's true. But he still knocked Tyson Fury down, right? Not in the second one? Okay. So that was probably the cleanest victory that Tyson got in those 3 fights. But wow, what an amazing 3 fights. And Deontay Wilder, please don't retire. Another guy I want to consider that I don't want to see Deontay Wilder retire. I would love for him to come back. And again, we don't want to see these 2 legends retire. Another thing, if he's going to retire from boxing, now it makes sense why Francis Ngannou stepped into the ring. Right? So the fact that Ngannou stepped into the ring shows me one thing. He's not done entertaining. And I actually heard him in the post-fight talking about he's going to be in the British SummerSlam WWE event. He's going to perform. So he said, don't be surprised if I show up there. So Tyson Fury, I think, is in the Floyd Mayweather stage of his career. He want to entertain. He still want to make money.
Ngannou, he should totally have some tune-up fights before he tries to fight at the high level in boxing.
It won't be a boxing match, though. It'll be a hybrid fight.
Yeah, hybrid my ass. What the fuck is a hybrid?
That's stupid.
It sounds like
a hybrid will be aesthetics. That's it.
I think it sounds like
aesthetics. They'll be in a cage. They'll wear gloves. But it'll be a boxing match.
Can they kick?
I heard it's gonna be 1 round MMA, 1 round boxing. That's what I heard. If Tyson Fury does that, he got balls of steel.
Some big testicles to pull this off, bro.
No. If he does that, he's gonna lose.
Muhammad Ali did some crazy shit back in the day. Probably started MMA. There's a whole book about that.
He boxed Andre the Giant.
There's actually a book about that. That if you put that in context, that's probably the first time that 2 separate, disciplines were able to fight professionally.
He also boxed a wrestler from Japan.
Oh yeah? Yeah. Look at that. So this is not unprecedented, but it would just be pretty insane.
He almost did an exhibition with Will Chamberlain, but he changed his mind because when they met in person, he saw how big he was, and he was like, "Holy shit!"
Will Chamberlain is like crazy. He was dumb fast too. Yeah. He was a crazy athlete. But speaking about that, Tyson Fury is a crazy athlete. Yo, his defense, his setups, right? His body attacks, his straight punches, the guy is sensational. So, you have any final thoughts that you want to lay down?
I hope Tyson Fury fights AJ so he could get knocked the fuck out.
Wow, what a turn of events. Imposible. Yo voy a hablar español en la final. Nah, I'm only playing. But seriously, Tyson Fury will knock AJ out, and he's gonna knock out Usyk if he fights Usyk too. So
I think Ngannou might knock out Tyson Fury. His power.
You know who really could Ngannou knock out, just to give credit to Francis Ngannou? Clearly, I don't think he's gonna beat Tyson Fury. But you know who I think he could have potentially beat? Deontay Wilder.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Because I'm your brother. But the second reason you knew that is because Deontay Wilder's actually not the most polished boxer. Pretty wild. He fights just like his last name says. He's Wilder. He fights like a wild man. And Francis Ngannou fights like a wild man. And if you compare their punching skills, they're pretty similar. Of course, I would assume Deontay Wilder's faster, more, able to throw more punches later in the fight. He got more experience throwing punches specifically, but,
But definitely give us your take. Tell us what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.